Town of Pierson regular council meeting for Tuesday, August the 27th, 2024 at 6:32 p.m. will now come to order. Yvonne, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mayor Samuel Bennett.
Here.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland.
Here.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson. Here. Councilwoman Brandy Peterson. Here. Town Planner Mark Brett.
Here.
Town Attorney Christian Law.
Here.
And the Bush County Sheriff.
Thank you, Yvonne. At this time, we're privileged and honored to have the pastor, Stan Wickett of the Ebenezer Lutheran Church here in Pierson. Welcome. And he's going to be giving the invocation for the meeting tonight.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's a privilege. And I want to talk for a minute about one of the lessons that we had in church this last weekend, and it's from Ephesians chapter 6. It's a memorable passage. Most of you will know it. Take up the whole armor of God, the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, shoes that will make you ready to proclaim the gospel of peace, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Pray in the Spirit at all times. This passage gives you a visual of a combatant warrior, a Roman soldier perhaps, but if you read the passage carefully, you find that there is only one item to be used in offensive battle. The rest are all defensive and meant to protect. That one offensive weapon is the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. Now, this passage is about spiritual warfare against rulers, authorities, cosmic powers, spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places, and not with our brothers and sisters or those that we see as our enemies. So what do we believe about these rulers and others? Unfortunately, many of us believe, well, we don't think much of them at all. Many want to shy away from this passage because they believe that these thoughts, these images are outmoded and archaic in our day and time. But there's a Christian faction that embraces this language and this imagery as it represents their personal daily struggle against temptation, as they strive to be good and to do good, and that certainly is commendable. And so what do we do? This passage from Ephesians informs our response to these things. It speaks to transformation and prayer and continuing to bring the gospel of peace, the gospel of God, the sword of the Spirit, the Word of God. We bring the gospel into the world and we just keep on bringing it. We do not conform to the current cultural changes as Paul speaks against conforming, not only here in this passage where we are called to put on the whole armor of God, but also in Romans 12. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. We stand in our Christian identity and the roots of our common faith that takes us all the way back to the apostles and to the early fathers of the church, and the reformers and the great Orthodox theologians and evangelists of the 20th and 21st centuries. We're to be nurtured by faith and tradition and faithful community and to grow in the deep, rich soil of God's Word. And we pray in the Spirit at all times, in every prayer and supplication, believing that the very Spirit intercedes for us on our behalf with words, with sighs too deep for words. And so this evening, we pray that God be in our midst to protect us and strengthen us and grant us his love and grace. So let us pray. Grant, Lord, that we may love our community with a holy love and not be turned aside by any wickedness, but remain steadfast in your purposes. Bless the work of our town leaders that they may be enlightened and inspired to discover what is best for this community, her future, and her citizens. And we pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
And if I may, and you said I may, on October 12th, Yes, October 12th, we are having a 140th anniversary celebration. And we are inviting the community and hopefully those who don't have a church home in this community as well to come and learn about us and celebrate with us. And so Ebenezer's been here for 140 years as of this year. It's a long time of ministry here. So thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing that. Stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item for consideration, item number 4, consideration of approval of the minutes for our regular meeting, August the 13th, 2024. If there, at this time, are there any additions or deletions to the minutes? If not, the mayor would entertain a motion for approval. We have a motion on the floor by our Councilwoman Lenny Richardson for approval. Is there a second? Seconded by Brandy Pierson. Ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. Okay, item number, next item under new business, 5A. Taylor Middle High School Homecoming Parade, date and time change, discussion and action. And I believe we have Jessica Bell here with us. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. So originally we wanted to do the parade on October 26th, but all of our alumni have come to us and asked that we move the parade back to the day of the homecoming game. So we would like to move that to November 1st. And what we're gonna do is have a paper where kids can check out early. So that's gonna start at 1, and we'd like to start the parade at 1:30 on Friday, November 1st. And our detour is gonna the detour roads will be the same, but our route will be a little different because some of the kids are gonna be checking out, the other kids are gonna line up at our fence. And so we're gonna leave out of gate 1, that's the first gate on Washington, and make our regular rounds, and then come back down East Washington, and then, I gotta look at this real quick. Where am I? Blake Street to East First to Fern, and then back to gate 1. But the detour routes are gonna be the same.
So
You're gonna take it down Blake Street, you say?
Mm-hmm. Yes, just to come back to the school, because we want to come back down the whole length of the school, because we're leaving out of the first gate. So the kids that aren't able to check out are going to be at the fence.
I
So
got
we
you.
want to come back down Washington.
that's on November the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe you'll get a greater participation because the kids will be able to be in attendance.
I think so too, and I think we'll have a lot of alumni and other things with that too. And we're also going to do a Wildcat Prowl at 4. So we're shutting down everything. We're going to do the parade at 1:30. School gets released. Everything gets shut down. Wildcat Prowl at 4. And then our game starts at 7. And then we're having our dance on the Saturday following.
Any questions at this time or anything? Well, if not, the mayor would entertain a motion for approval to approve the high school homecoming parade for November the 1st and to be able to close the streets and make the necessary provisions that we do.
Me too, Fred.
A motion on the floor by Councilwoman Lenny Richardson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by our Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland. Ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. Thank you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Okay, next item for consideration, 5B, traffic flow at schools. Councilwoman Lenny R. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my phone has been blowing up since school started about the traffic situation at the high school. So I went up and looked. I had to see how catastrophic this was. We got problems. People parked on the sidewalk all the way to Carol Dunn's house. All over the sidewalk by the clinic. I'm thinking we might need to meet with the school board and discuss this and see if we can't come up with some kind of a, yes.
Well, and maybe somebody here that might know about this, I thought that they had agreed to, instead of having the one gate, that they are going to open up and have, had you heard something?
They did,
They did.
but only for the students to come in and out at park. Am I correct? And then the one gate that they had open originally is the only gate for parent pickup. I still think we should suggest to them to go back to that bus loop. I mean, there's so much more room right there for them to get traffic.
How many
off of
buses
the
do they
road.
have? Is anybody?
Yeah, they can't have that.
They
many
can't have,
buses.
what, 4 or 5?
We have about 10.
10?
10?
But are they mixed high school and middle?
Yes. And listen, we agree completely with you guys. It is not the school, it is the district. If they're saying, and we don't have the manpower to man those gates. So they are demanding that somebody be able to touch a gate for it to be open. And we don't have the manpower.
And since we don't have the people to man the gates, that's why only one gate can stay open, because we have someone at that one gate.
We want all the parents, everyone, call the district. It's not the school, call the district.
Put it in writing, send an email.
Yeah, they could do volunteer, but it would have to be on a regular basis, because we can't just open a gate on Tuesday when we have a volunteer, and not any other day, because it's just gonna confuse them. That's what I thought.
I thought it was a
Point of
county.
entry, but if you have someone there, because that's our classroom.
What now?
The state mandate. Our fault.
The sidewalks are going to be destroyed. It's
Oh, yeah,
just,
yeah,
it's,
they parking on them every day.
and then you think the school board's gonna replace them? No.
They won't even replace the sidewalks at the school, by the way.
Pardon?
They won't even replace the sidewalks at the school, by the way.
So I don't know what we need to do here.
I think as Jessica suggested, we need to contact the
Contact district, bombard them, yes, everybody call. Don't
Should we maybe have Christian, sometimes when an attorney reaches out, it kind of makes people take attention.
we can tag team. I'm going to contact him as mayor, and Christian, I might. Are you available if I need you to be in, and let's work together on it. I agree, and I'm glad you put this as an agenda item, and it's a big problem.
There's a lot. It's
I do believe, though, if they were to change that bus loop, it would make a huge difference. A huge difference. Because if we've just got 10 buses, I know 10 buses could fit in any one of those loops.
yes, absolutely.
Any one. And that one that they're utilizing now, you can put a bunch of cars back there waiting to pick up kids. A bunch of cars.
Well, one thing you can point out too is that we technically are two schools,
Right.
but we're only allowed to have one gate. If you went to Land Middle School, they have their gate open, to Land High School have their gate open too. But because we are one school, we only get one gate.
You're like the redheaded stepchild in Pierson, and they treat us accordingly.
Because the second gate could be open for the middle
we'll talk to him and
Get something.
feel free if any of the board members want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have on that, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, next item for consideration is 5C. And I had spoken with Mark Brett, our planner, and also our attorney, which we've already had public hearings and on this, so we're going to do this just for consideration, just as an agenda item. So 5C, ordinance 2024-14, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Christian. You can read the title.
Ordinance 2024-14, an ordinance of the Town Council of Pierson, Florida, proposing amendments to the Unified Land Development Regulations of the Town of Pierson, amending the sign regulations to allow electronic message center signs, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date.
And we have had public hearings, and also this is the second and final reading. It has, as you know, has gone to the Planning Commission for recommendation for approval, and we've already approved it once. At this time, if there are no other questions or comments from anyone, if not, the mayor would entertain a motion for to vote on ordinance 2024-14.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2024-14 on its second and final reading as written.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by our Vice Mayor Robert S. Greenland for approval of ordinance 2024-14. Let the record show that our legal counsel has read the title in its entirety, and that this is the second reading. The motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lenny Richardson. Ready for the question? Vaughn, would you please give a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Brandy Peterson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland.
Yes.
Mayor Samuel Bennett.
Yes. So carried. Okay. Next item for consideration, 5D, Palmetto Oaks subdivision, preliminary and final plat approval. This is at 705 North County Road 3, Volusia Avenue, and I'm going to turn the floor over to our town planner, Mark Perret of Zed Cohen and Associates.
Thank you. If you recall, earlier this year, you guys approved the plan development rezoning that established the Palmetto Oaks PUD agreement. That PUD agreement provided for a 4-lot, 1-acre subdivision of this piece of property, and established a number of uses. This was a result of an original application that was going to allow MH2 zoning on it. If you recall, there was concern about the number of units that could be built on MH2, so that's the reason why a development agreement was negotiated and restricted this development to 4 1-acre lots. In front of you is a preliminary final plat. Plats have to be recorded, and they don't get recorded until the governing body of the jurisdiction takes final action to approve the plat. It has been reviewed. First of all, it was prepared by a professional surveyor, Eastern Surveying. It has been reviewed by a surveyor, and requirement in state law that local government surveyors have to review and approve plats that have been presented by professional surveyors. That has been done. They've actually gone out in the field and verified all the corners. It has been reviewed by the town attorney to make sure that there are no, at least at the time of the review, there are no liens on the property. It's reviewed by engineers and Zeb Cohen, I reviewed it for last week. The planning commission has recommended approval, and the applicant and the representative is here to answer any questions.
If there are no questions or comments at this time, the mayor would entertain a motion to approve Palmetto Oaks subdivision preliminary and final plat approval. As Mark stated, this board needs to approve the plat that has been presented to us and has gone through the process.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by our Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland for approval of the Palmetto Oaks subdivision. Final plat approval. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Brandy Pierson. Ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So okay, item number 5E. Surety Bank CD discussion and action. Here a few meetings ago, we had an opportunity to open up a CD, and our Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland had brought it to our attention that there was a good yield on CDs at a credit union. The board did approve for us to pursue putting that money in a certificate of deposit. Since then, a few weeks ago, I took the liberty to have a meeting with from time to time we've talked with Jim Ashby, Weston and Gregory, as a financial advisor. And I looked at the monies that we have on deposit, and Jim thought that we would be good to move some more funds over in a certificates of deposit, because we have this money in our general account and we're not drawing any interest on the money. So after the meeting that I had with Jim, I would like to suggest to the board that we take $600,000 and put it in certificates of deposit. Now we can put it in $100,000 CDs, or you can put several together, but in 6 months' time, do it for 6 months. That would be being a better steward of this money for the taxpayers. Will get some interest, and we do need, this will be additional income to the town of Pierson. So this needs to be a board decision, so that's why I'd asked that be put down as an agenda item for your consideration.
So if I may, I'd like to ask Ryan a question. If we move 600, are we okay? I mean, we've got some major projects coming up very soon. The North Road deal is.
Right. Well, and that was one of the reasons we've got an agenda item still about financing and line of credit options. Because obviously, if we could use some kind of bonds or something to finance that, it wouldn't be all in one lump sum up front. You'd be in better shape to do that. But I mean, if they're only in 6 month CDs, I wouldn't think it would be that big of a deal. Because I mean, it would be available again in 6 months if you needed it, But we, like we talked about, we have a budget hearing coming up in a few weeks, and we are going to have to look at other revenue. So that is what Jim recommended, is if we have anything in reserves, it probably should go into CDs and at least draw some interest. So, I think we do.
If we do this in like 5 or 6 $1,000 CDs, if we need one, we can always get one and then lose I think it would be smart if we would, if we do this, to do it in however many 100,000 we're gonna do it in $100,000 increments.
Increments, yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
deposit or certificates of deposit. So, if,
Maybe possibly one for, what do you think about one for 300 and then the other?
doesn't matter, it's not going, it's all gonna draw the same amount of money.
Well, just less
It's not-
paperwork.
Less paperwork.
But I mean,
That's
it's
true.
whatever you'd like, but it's
No, I mean, I can understand that, you're right, but we need to keep at least, just to be on the safe side, I would do at least 200,000 in $100,000 CDs, and then we can do whatever the balance is in one. It's like Ryan said, 6 months will go by in a hurry anyway. But I think we should take advantage of this while we can.
I mean, I will just say, it's also on tonight's agenda, we have a fairly large insurance payment that's all due.
Right.
On some, it's due in, beginning in November, end of October. And we obviously have the sheriff's contract, which that's split over 4 payments, but it's still, each payment's $75,000.
Big
So
payment.
that's coming up in a month. So I don't know that I would put 600, but I mean, we can put a few $100,000 in there. We'll just have to add up what we're going to have to spend by the end of the year. I just don't want to short us on anything if we needed it for repairs or we needed it for.
Has Ashby given an opinion as to what he thinks stress test wise the town could do or should do?
I can.
Yes,
ask him that.
yes, that's why I had a meeting with him.
Oh.
And he said that he felt comfortable with what we have in the bank to go, and to get a return on this money. He suggested 600,000. I said maybe 5. He said, no, you're good. I mean, 6 would be good. So I think that, and we're gonna make some money on this.
I mean, he's
for
pretty
6 months.
conservative too,
Yeah.
in terms of finances. He's never been, yeah. So,
Now, the bank loves it. The bank would love for us to just keep that in our general account, but this will give us a good yield. Now, the
one CD's been purchased, though, right?
Right, yes.
Okay, so we got, so that's there.
They dropped the price at surety, right, or the.
They raised it,
Not
they
in
raised it to match more credit.
Right,
unions.
right. That was gonna be my question. Are we
Yes.
gonna search rates
Well, I
and
would
all
still
this?
probably research that because they did it once, but will they do it for all of them? They were
Right.
just trying to keep that money.
Yeah.
But we do need to inquire, if we open 5 or 6 CDs, $100,000 each, or one for 200, and are you going to give us this interest on all of them, or so we'll have to shop that out.
We need to find that out.
Yeah.
How about if we make a motion to go with surety, if they can give us the interest rate that we got on the one certificate of deposit.
My thing is what if another bank's lower right now? I mean, interest rates go up and down every day. I think we should give surety the option and give them to us, but we should also be going to some other
Well,
banks like.
we need to at least check around.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
check.
suggesting. Go with surety, but if we can't get the high yield, then go with the credit union that you have, or another bank to get a return for the taxpayer.
I agree.
So the mayor would entertain a motion to go ahead and approve putting this in a certificate of deposit at surety for the whatever the last interest rate was that we got on that CD for 6 months.
It was 5.2, wasn't it?
I believe it was 5.2.
Yeah.
And if that's not possible, then go with the Florida Credit Union or another bank that would give us the return for the town of Pierson.
So we'll have Ryan check shop on it, yeah.
Yes.
So move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by our vice mayor. We have a motion on the floor by our vice mayor, Robert F. Greenland, to go ahead and give surety the first option of placing the certificate of deposits with them at 5.2. And if we can't get that return, then go to other banks or credit union for a good return. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? seconded by Councilwoman Lenny Richardson. Yes.
I was just gonna tell you, please help us with make sure you check out Live Oak. It's an online bank, but just for a savings account, they pay like 5% interest every day.
We can do that, and I'm hopeful that Surety will, because that's our hometown bank, and so I'd love to. We want to give them the first option, and I'm hopeful that they're going to do what they did on the one certificate that we just did last month. So, but the bottom line is we'll be getting a return on it. So, any other question or discussion? If not, we have a motion on the floor, a second. Ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. Thank you. Okay. Item 5F, use of town center fence for scarecrow contest at Debbie Summer.
Not here, it's just basically a yes or no, if you go or use it again.
Okay. I think that was a big, a lot of participation in the community. I thought it was a nice event. But it needs to come before the board for your consideration. So the floor is open for what that might be.
I move to give Debbie Summer permission to use her fence for the scarecrow competition again this year.
And we have a motion on the floor by our Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland to use the fence for the scarecrow contest by Debbie Summer, and that is here at our Highway 17 Town Center. Is there a second? Seconded by Brandy Pierson. Ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. Okay, item number 5G, the Leon Springs Community Center Association's Autumn in the Oaks Festival donation and discussion and action. Yvonne had put this on the agenda for our consideration. They, even though they're in DeLeon, they always have given us money and sponsored the 4th of July celebration. And so, we try to support them when they have their celebration, the Autumn and Oaks Festival. So, what is your pleasure?
How much do they usually donate to the 4th of July? 100?
100, and it was more at one time, but I think they lowered it a little bit. So it's $100. So the floor is open for whatever y'all like to do.
I don't mind 100.
A motion on the floor by Lenny Richardson to give $100 to the DeLeon Springs Community Center Association Autumn in the Oaks Festival donation. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by our Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland. Ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. Okay, item number 5H, financing and line of credit options. Councilwoman Lenny R. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like I stated earlier, we have some pretty big projects ahead of us. And I just thought it would be wise to explore some options for some financing for whatever big project might come our way. And I see Christian has given us some information here. You want to elaborate a little bit for me, Christian?
I mean, so it's not a matter of reinventing the wheel. Municipalities and counties have had to find ways of financing projects, particularly capital projects over the years. And so one of the big ways that has been established is bonds. You know, and I don't know what Pierson's history is with bonds, or if Pierson has used them before.
Yeah, if you look at the back of that page, I actually got an email from Jim Ashby, and it's pretty brief, but he basically explained that several years ago, many years ago maybe, we did some general revenue bonds with USDA to build a water tower, and we paid those off in 2013. And he just gave me the contact information for them if we'd like to reach out to them again. But again, that was through USDA, so I'm sure that was geared toward the water project.
That's a good example, and that's interesting that the town has the history with it. But I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise. This is common. This is what's used usually, again, particularly for very expensive stuff like the infrastructure. So there's different ways that you can do it. The main way is what's called a general obligation bond, and I see that Ashby's given some notes that all look right to me, but more or less, they're usually payable from ad valorem taxes. They have to mature more than 12 months after the fact. They can only be used for capital projects. You cannot use general operating funds to pay it. Usually, it has to be approved by a referendum. There are exceptions. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we would be pledging our taxing power to make sure that the bonds get paid back. In other words, the bondholders would have certain rights if they don't. They could come after some of our stuff. I mean, it's rare that it happens, but it does happen from time to time. And that's to induce, the provision of the bonds and the funding of the bonds and everything. So the other is called a revenue bond, and revenue bonds are where you actually pledge something specific, like water income or some kind of specific source of revenue. That's right. And you're not going to, if you do that, you're not pledging your ad valorem taxing power, that kind of stuff, and you don't need voter approval. So that's an option. I don't know what sources you'd be able to use per se. I think you probably could pledge, some of the water. It seems like a pretty big revenue stream. And then the other big way besides bonds is what's called special assessments. If you're thinking about a project that inures to the benefit of a specific area and it's going to inure to the benefit of specific people, then they should probably be the ones ultimately who have to pay for it. That's the idea behind it. So let's say that you want to develop some kind of infrastructure project that's only going to serve 1 square mile, and there's 50 people who live in that square mile. Then you might have to do a study, figure out what it's going to be over the years, but figure out what those 100 people in that square mile or those 50 people in that square mile are going to have to pay in special assessment. They're going to have to pay it over time. Instead of people who don't benefit from something. Does that make sense? You shouldn't, if only a subset of people are going to benefit or primarily benefit, then is it justified to make everybody pay for something? That's the idea behind that. So that's available as well. Now, these options are always available. The flip side is there are very significant costs with doing general obligation bonds. So now I'm interested in what Ashby wrote because I wonder if the USDA Rural Development, if they had some kind of discount or helped with find underwriting, that kind of thing. I don't know.
I get their newsletters, emails from USDA all the time. There's so much funding out there.
Yeah, I
really didn't ever think about it now.
They strike me as maybe more like rural water in that they're kind of partners as opposed to just trying to get. Whereas typically, if Miami is going to, and they believe me, they've got bonds. The bank's just going to get whatever the heck they can. The biggest law firm is going to charge as much as they can to do the legal stuff. So that's usually a con with it. Even with special assessments, you have to be fair to the people who are going to pay it. So you've got to get a study to figure out what people would be charged and that kind of thing, what's reasonable for what you need. I don't know if this is answering all your questions, but these are typical options. Honestly, there are some other options, but they get a little creative, fancy, and they're not really typical.
Is there any reason why the town, and Jim didn't really seem to have an opinion about this either way, but is there any reason why the town wouldn't go after more traditional types of financing that like a company might go by, a line of credit, not for major things, but for something that's $60,000 or $100,000, can you can towns do that?
Yes. Yes.
Because I know there are some banks out there that offer like municipal funding. I don't know what the interest would be on it, but that's probably the key. But.
That's an option as well. It's not the bond. It's not like a public financing thing. So I don't know the economics behind it, but I think one of the advantages of public financing is that yes, there's interest, so to speak, but I suspect it's not as bad as what you have in a typical market loan.
So why don't we allow Ryan to explore some different avenues here for us?
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I think
Do you have projects in mind?
Well, we know we've got the North Road culvert deal. That's how much, 60-something. Hagstrom Road deal's probably going to be, I don't even want to guess,
You said
probably.
$1 million. Is that what you said? $1 million?
Probably so.
I don't know.
It's going to be a couple $100,000, there's no doubt.
Yeah, it's a bunch, especially if they have to dig all that.
So, I mean, and there's several things like that about town.
And I will just, if I can real quick, everyone always comes in and asks about grant money, right?
Oh, yeah.
The very first thing I did when I got hired on here is I hit the ground running and I called everybody about grants because at the time we were talking about Hagstrom Road. It is very hard. I've had 3 different people from 3 different agencies tell me it is very hard to find money to repair existing roads. There's money out there to build new infrastructure, and if you meet certain criteria, like if you're an RAO, or Rural Area of Opportunity, you can get funding to repair some roads and infrastructure, but we are not a Rural Area of Opportunity. Putnam County is one. There's one up in the Panhandle somewhere. There's 3 sections of Florida that are considered an RAO. Pierson is not one of them. So every avenue I went down, I talked to USDA, I talked to DOT, and they basically just told me every town comes to us asking the same thing. How do we get grant money for roads? Most of the infrastructure grant money is going toward drinking water, wastewater, stormwater. Those applications score higher. Our grant writer, Fred Fox, told me we could try to apply for CDBG to repair roads, but your scoring on the scorecard would be much lower. Another town is likely going to get selected for something before you are, because they just don't consider it a priority. So yes, we've explored that avenue, but I think when it comes to repaving, we're not going to be able to depend on grant money for that. We're going to have to come up with other options.
If you're talking about $60,000, sorry, I would have written it in the email, but have you considered like a town council dunk tank? I think that
Yes,
could
I agree.
That might just 60,000. You might be able to pull off 60,000 there. I don't know. Even if you got halfway there. Even if you got halfway there.
There you go.
I have nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Lenny. Okay, next item for consideration is 5I, Lions Club Rodeo Rental, Councilwoman Lenny R. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, as you all know, the Lions Club uses the arena every year. And they come in and they purchase a, what is it called? A special event permit. So the event permit, they pay, is it $500 total, right, Ryan?
Yes.
For 2 nights. Well, that's wonderful. And I want to be generous to nonprofits. However, we have to look at some gospel truths on our properties. The insurance a year for Chipper Jones Park and the rodeo arena area. That's not including the community center, is $8,256. The Lions Club has in their holdings, this is via the IRS website, $86,000 in their checking account. I just think they could kick in a little bit more for the lease of that arena for their rodeo. Yeah, for the right now.
Okay, no. I was just going to throw in there for your consideration the one issue. If you do decide to say, I don't think that the town can compel, like, pick winners and losers. In other words, just because we know they can afford it. So if the town does want to raise the rates, and based on the insurance, I don't know how many rentals you get, if it covers that insurance or not. Doesn't sound like it. It has to be raised for everybody.
Yes.
Or there have to be standards. If you expect this many people, then it's 1,000. If it's this many people, 500. All I want to throw out for your, as you talk about it, is that it has to be a rule, a standard, not based on person, but based on standards. But you can raise it, yeah.
The Lions Club pay monthly? I mean, the
Saddle
Saddle
Club.
Club
Saddle Club pays $200 for the 1 day.
a month.
Once a month.
But we do lots and lots of work for that arena for this rodeo, not for Saddle Club. I mean, Saddle Club benefits from it, but Saddle Club has been up there and fixed the birdhouse, fixed all kinds of stuff up there. I mean, and I get Lions Club does too, that week before they're up there, but I mean, just a couple years ago, we sunk in lots of money up there fixing electrical panels, putting out new fence, redoing bleachers. I mean, we just had another one for $9 more grand to put rails on bleachers up there. We're gonna have to, there's something something's got to be, we have to reach a medium there somewhere.
I mean, they don't donate any time during the year. The Saddle Club's always up there spraying weeds, helping out. I don't see the Lions Club doing that. I know 3 or 4 years ago, we spent, was it $15,000 on boards for the bleachers?
Quite a bit.
It was a lot of money.
Now, keep in mind, that is the bleachers, that's used by the Saddle Club and the Lions Club.
The Saddle Club doesn't use all those bleachers. They don't hardly use any bleachers.
They don't use any bleachers?
You'll see a very few people sitting on an aluminum, no, it's not like the rodeo, no.
No, I didn't mean it's like, not like the rodeo, but they do use the arena, and people do sit on the bleachers,
Yeah, there's
not to the extent of the Lions Club,
Yeah.
but they are used, and what we did it universally for the whole, because of public safety,
Yes.
for the Saddle Club and the Lions Club, or whoever might be up there, the town, because it's a town property.
Property, yeah.
So, so are we, I don't know, I'll let you speak to what you're thinking as far as for the Lions Club.
I
don't
think
know.
they could at least pay $500 a night.
500 a night. Yes, Denise?
First of all, why is the $250 a day, is that the flat rate? Why is the salary?
That's a special event permit.
I
Who is
suspect,
it you wanted for the Saddle Club? special event permit? Or is it a rent?
No,
It's a rent. They
it's a
use it
rental.
once a month.
They see because they use it, don't they use it monthly, the saddle
Yes,
club?
once a month.
Yeah, so they pay them monthly.
Well, part of the year, but they pay every
We have a
month.
license agreement with them for that use.
And then
And they don't have to get a permit fee? They don't have to pay a permit fee?
No, because a special permit is only over a certain number of people. So the Saddle Club doesn't bring in nearly the number of people that the rodeo does.
Okay, but you've got, I get this, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. You've got the Lions Club paying $500 a year, and you've got South Club paying $2,400 a year, but they use it every month, and they only get 2 nights.
I think Saddle Club uses it like 8 months a year, but they pay for the whole year, correct?
Yes.
And then on my second note, has anybody asked the Lions Club to come and help? I'm sure they would do that.
Well,
Well, they do every year before.
about a month ago, when we talked about the $9,000 welding on the bleachers, Sergia asked, was it Jackie North that was in the audience, if the Lions Club would consider pitching in on some of those expenses, and she said that she would have to check with them and get back to us, but then no one ever came back to that. So I don't know if that's a possibility or not.
Lamar?
Well, I mean, I just want to say that, the Lions Club is not opposed to paying, more money. That's not what you're saying. I do take offense to you saying that the Lions Club, basically everything that's up there, except for that birdhouse we're talking about, the Lions Club put it there out of their pocket. The lights, all the posts, not posts, not the perimeter, but all the arena fence, I've been there. Taking out posts, putting in new posts, all the gates, all the buckle shoots, all those gates, all the lighting.
I was sorry, I wasn't aware of any of that.
We paid for every penny of that. The concession stand.
When it was built or here recently?
When it was built, everything was built.
Well, everything has to be up to par every
I'm
so
not
many
saying that.
years.
I'm just saying that the Lions Club built all that. They put it there, they paid for it all to be there. And the reason why is because at the time, we got a lease with the city. It was a long-term lease, and we paid for all the maintenance, we paid for everything that was there. The city decided they didn't want that agreement anymore. They wanted to have control of it, they wanted to have a rental deal with us. They came and said, your lease is no good no more. Here's, and it was, we really didn't have an option. Here it is. They made the deal. Here's what we're going to do. We'll maintain it. We're going to charge all around. We said, okay. That was y'all said that. We didn't. All we've done is do what y'all asked us to do. I'm not opposed to paying more money, but I take offense to the fact that you sit there and try to say the Lions Club doesn't do anything.
Sir, I said the week before the rodeo or the 2 weeks before the rodeo, the Lions.
Well, on a daily basis, the Lions Club does not. I mean,
What are we supposed to do? We rent it twice, 2 days out of the year. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to go there and
you don't have to do anything anymore.
I know we don't. I mean, that's the deal. But
Correct.
I'm just saying, we put it all there. If you went up there and took everything away that's there right now, you had nothing but a piece of ground.
Yes.
If you went up there to replace what's there, it would probably cost the town $500 to $1 million. With all the bleachers that are there, the lights that are there, everything. There's a huge investment up there. And all we're trying to do, and I'll tell you about that money that you come around with, stuff around to figure out, I don't know if you can do this. We had the biggest rodeo last year that we've ever had in existence that I'm aware of for the Pierson Lions Club. The biggest. We made a lot more money than we normally make. A lot more. If you're going to use that to say we should pay
No,
more
I'm
money,
just saying,
I'm saying
it's not like you have $42 in the
I
bank.
know, that's not the point here. We'll pay them, whatever, you want $500 a month, we'll pay that. I'm not opposed to that. I'm just opposed to the way you brought it up and the way you presented it to the public. That's what I'm opposed to.
sorry. Like the Saddle Club, I mean, we know that they're nickel and diming things, right? You're not nickel and diming. I mean, if you could not, if y'all were pinching pennies and having to roll quarters to pay, I would, you know what I'm saying? But I know that we, this town,
It is, you would go to a meeting, somebody in the line from, it's costing the town a lot of money, so anywhere we can pump the rent. And done that way. And then,
well, we asked Jackie.
that's about rent, that's about helping out with the, I was here at the meeting, and they asked about helping, survey asked about helping out with.
Well, I just got these figures for our insurance and realized we have,
You can't go by that. You can't go by that. If you don't have nothing up there, you're still gonna pay that same rate. We have insurance for our rodeo.
Right.
We provide the town with coverage for our rodeo.
yes.
That part of it, I don't know, that figure comes in, don't have nothing to do with us. It's got to do with the property of the town. Your liability, period.
Yes.
Just had a question about the 8,000, whatever it was, you said that was for the rodeo ground and the Chipper Jones Park. So is that all the Little League fields, the playground and the rodeo ground, just the 8,000? So all those fields being used every week too, and the playground on a daily basis in the rodeo ground?
Yes.
So that's everything up there.
Excluding the
community center.
community center.
Yeah, there's a lot of use going on up there of all kinds of things. Little League, playground, saddle club, Lions Club. So I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
It's just road.
Okay, well, for efficiency and to move on, Lamar is a member of the Lions Club. There's other members here, and Lamar has said that the club would be happy to pay the I believe the $500.
But I'm up. I mean, myself personally, no, I don't have a problem with that. And whatever the town does, we don't have a choice. I mean, we gotta pay whatever it is. But I'm just saying that we can handle this a little bit better. You wanna go up $500 a night, I don't think that would be a problem. We don't have a choice. But I don't think that's unfair, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think that's an unfair amount. You understand? It's still the maintenance. I understand all. I know, because we did it. We did it every year. We had to go through there, replace all the boards. We had to do everything that had to be done. We did it. So I know what it costs. It wasn't my idea to do it the way it's done now. That's what we did. No, I don't think it would be a problem.
I was just gonna say, if you go up on the rodeo ground, go up $50 a month on the saddle club too. I mean, fair is fair, and if it's a rent fee, I don't care, they're paying more per night than the saddle club. The saddle club uses the dogs all year, fair is fair. I don't have anything to do with the saddle club, but I go to rodeo every year. You know, I mean, the people in the town of Pierson get more from the rodeo than the saddle club.
I guess it depends on who you ask, because there's lots of little kids that use that up there every week. I mean, once a month, they train their kids and teach their kids about rodeo and that
But
life.
what's the percentage? And some of
There's
those kids are in
probably-
Seville, not Pierson.
They come from DeLeon, they come from Lake Helen, they come from all over, but Saddle Club is a huge thing, and most of their money, if you go to their banquet or see their banquet, they give all of their donations back to their kids for tack, for all of their necessities. I'm not defending the Saddle Club, but I do know a lot about Saddle Club, and it's for the kids, just like Little League. All kids don't play baseball. Some like to go ride horses. I mean, it's the same.
What I'm saying is the quantity of use is Saddle Club. The rodeo, I see more people that I know from Pierson at rodeo, even the outside towns, than at Saddle Club. You know what I mean? And fair is fair. Basically, that's the bottom line. Fair is fair. You're gonna go up on Lions Club, you gotta go to Saddle Club.
That's not true, Denise, because the Saddle Club doesn't have the volume that the Lions Club rodeo does. It has a lot to do with it. It has a lot to do with it. They're a 301. too, aren't they? Yeah, they're a 301c, too, nonprofit.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to misspeak. I don't know, so I'm not going to say that. But
They are.
when you're not comparing apples to apples. Lions Club, on the 2 nights they do have it, which is only 2 nights of the year, there's 1,000 people up there.
And it's a professional rodeo.
There's not 1,000 people at the Saddle Club all year long. That's what I'm getting at.
About 4th of July in Valley, and it's not the rodeo grounds, it's just a piece of that whole $8,500.
That's true.
Mark?
I was just gonna question, does everybody rent or pay for their use of that park area? I thought from the Little League, Saddle Club, Lions Club, does everybody contribute?
Not the Little League.
And, just for the record, that's why it's been the history that we did try to make it very affordable for the Lions Club and for the Saddle Club and for Little League, because these are all family-oriented activities. And the Lions Club, of course, it's nonprofit, and the money that they make, they put back into the community, people that need help or need glasses, or somebody's having maybe financially or a sickness in the family. So, that was the agreement that Lamar talked about. That was in effect long before many years ago. So, been good discussion. So how would y'all like to proceed on this?
I would like to charge $500 per night instead of $500 for the weekend.
You would need to put that in the.
I moved to charge $500 per night, $1,000 for the weekend.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Lenny Richardson to charge $500 per night to the Pierson Lions Club for the rodeo event. Is there a second?
I just have, not that I'm not opposed to charging $500 a night, but we're talking about a month away. I think we should just charge them what they charge, and then we need to go back with the Lions Club for next year, and this is just my opinion. Next year, tell them, okay, we're not making it, maybe we need to go up next year. Because.
Or instead of making it,
For this year.
or instead of making it club specific, I
Should it
think
be just a special event?
it's raising the price of the
Of
permit.
special event
Correct.
permit. There you go.
I think that's what, in other words, like I said at the beginning, I really don't think we can do it to just one thing. I think it has to be a flat, yeah, so if you did want to, I would ask the motion to be remade that it applied to the price of a permit per day or per night, and that it begin at a date that you all
But I'll
determine.
retract it. She's
Yeah.
right, I'll retract my motion.
Or it can begin at a date that you want. It could be, you set it effective after the event. You see what I'm saying? And then everyone has warning too. Yeah.
I move to,
After that date.
Right.
yes, to get with the Lions Club after their event, September 2nd and 3rd, to revise our special event permit prices for the following year.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Lenny Richardson to get with the Lions Club after this year's rodeo and to revamp the permitting for the next year's rodeo. Is that correct? Am I stating?
Yes.
Special event permit. Is there a second? Second by Brandy Pierson. Ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. Okay. Item 5J. This is the interlocal agreement regarding transportation impact coordination between the county of Volusia and the town of Pierson. And have a George Breckenwall, county manager. He's not going to be in attendance tonight.
I spoke to him on Friday. And basically, he just wants to know if we're gonna yay or nay this. Right now, how it is, when we have a new builder, they pay at the county their impact fees, and they don't pay them directly to us. If we say no, then that means the impact fees come to us. We process it, do the research to find out if there was a previous, there's a lot of things that go into that. And then we forward the money to Volusia County. We're not gaining anything from this except we're gonna have to do a lot more work to figure it out. So that's what it is. It's in front of you. You all can read it. And Christian knows because he got it in his email too.
I completely agree with everything you just said, and I would strongly endorse this agreement just because it takes the processing out of the town. It doesn't add responsibilities, but there is a state law now that to address certain, there was a law that was purchased and it was passed from the legislature by developers. And in any event, this is just to keep things on the up and up for developers being charged what they should be charged for in terms of impact fees. So if you do this agreement, you got to do one of two things. Either you pass an agreement that looks like this, or, as Yvonne said, we've got to do everything here, and it's a real undertaking.
And as mayor, I'd like to encourage the board, along with, I'm in agreement with our senior clerk and attorney, that to approve this agreement, because even though the legislature and the governor have approved this in regards to the impact fee and that we could collect it, guess what? We still don't, we get zero. In other words, there will be no funding. Am I correct? There's no money that'll be coming.
There's no benefit. There's no benefit.
So
there's a ton of administrative.
But there is cost.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's no benefit, and so why would we want to collect the impact fee? Because zero would be coming to the town of Pierson. So it would be in our best interest to approve this agreement and let the county continue collecting their impact fee.
Yeah, it really sounds like they don't want us handling their impact fees.
Well, they really don't, because I talked to George and then I talked to Beth Brandon, and she says, do you understand? You'd have to set up an account with the clerk of the court where you would have to pay them monthly. There's a lot of things that go into play here.
Yeah, I like their language at the bottom. We strongly encourage.
Right.
Yeah, we strongly encourage.
Well, because then they wait longer on their money too, right? If it's a month to process.
It's gonna take longer for the paperwork because it's gonna have to go to them and then back.
I make a motion, we approve the interlocal agreement regarding transportation impact coordination between the county of Volusia and the town of Pierson.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by our Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lenny Richardson. Ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. Okay, item number 5K, procedures for collecting permit and planning and zoning fees, discussion and action. Councilwoman Lenny Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I was in talking with Ryan one day last week, and he brought up to my attention about how we are being charged for procedures for development or anything pertaining to MARC permitting. Ryan can elaborate a little more for me.
Well, Mark, I just thought that his invoices, and Christians probably are too, are itemized. And they break down, if Mark does 2 hours worth of work for, Fidel's subdivision, that should be passed on to that owner or that customer. In the past, I think you said Pierson
They're not?
tried it.
They're not?
Well, I think Pierson tried it, correct, Mark? You said Carmen maybe did that occasionally or did that a few times.
I know she did occasionally. I don't know whether it's
But then,
but I don't know that it was done.
yeah, it just got dropped.
Each and every one.
And every month we give a breakdown, but it's not like us. You know, you're getting charged by Universal Engineering as well, and so you should be collecting enough building permit revenue to essentially cover the costs.
Yeah,
We'll have
normally,
to address the universal thing at a later time because we received 10 grand in universal in permit income this year, but we paid universal 30. So we're losing money on that. So those permit fees are going to have to match what Universal's charging us to process all of that, or entertain switching to someone besides Universal. But we'll put that on a different agenda.
I mean, most jurisdictions collect enough in building permit fees that they actually have a hard time spending it all. Right. Well, because you know, you're limited as to what you can spend building permit fees on. Again, building industry has gone to the legislature and said, you know, building inspections are slow, people are understaffed. So basically what what the local government has said is that, what the legislature said is that your building permit fees that you collect need to be used for providing building services to the development industry. So, and so there's a restricted list of what you can actually use those fees for. Right? And so many municipalities have difficulty actually using all those fees. The Daytona has enough surplus building fees. They're looking into buying a building to house their building department. That's how much they've collected.
Yeah, we don't want that much building fees.
No, you don't want that much building fees. But my point is, you're paying so much in services to Universal. You need to look at what your actual rates are.
but like Ryan said, that's for another meeting, right? I mean, this is specifically for. So, I mean, normally what I see is, you know, municipalities, counties, they have ordinances and/or resolutions that talk about how the costs are passed on and require it. In fact, you know, in one of my cities right now, I'm sending a demand that we're going to sue if they don't pay the consultant fees that were accrued to them.
So when it makes an application for any of the zoning fees, part of the building permit package, they sign an agreement that commits them to paying for any fee for that are incurred. But I don't know whether you're collecting.
That's that's in this office if we put it together. So we just need to do that. Because as Mark stated, you got to sign the agreement.
The authorization
to do that.
Yeah.
We need to,
We took in 10 and paid out 30. Whoa.
Well, so you're talking about a procedure, you know? I mean, right? So like I don't know what's already there, but
We wanted the council to be aware. We wanted to have a discussion about this is something that was spotty in the past. Some people got billed, some people didn't get billed. I think some people might have complained and didn't want to pay it, so I think the previous clerk might have just stopped doing it altogether. But, you know, it's another scenario. I'm not necessarily saying trying to make money on it, but we should at least be breaking even on it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Those services are being provided, and we should be, reimbursed for that.
And that in turn helps you maintain the budget on those costs as well. So
Would the town have the authority to forbid a CO until everything is paid?
I'll tell you how it's done in other communities. It just depends. I mean, they've signed an agreement. So for example, many cities you'll go to first reading, but you're not going to go to second reading until you pay, depending on what the item is. We could have, with tonight's item, you could have held up agendaing that item until they came in and paid the fees. Invoice them, they,
You just have to have a policy, something adopted by usually resolution, because it can change quickly, to Mark's point, and then you're able to do those things. You can't just ad hoc do it,
Right.
but maybe
You
it's
gotta
worth
have
a,
to see,
a discussion or a workshop, but
we
whatever.
need to do that.
Maybe you could work with Mark and put together a resolution or something for our consideration to help clean this up and make it where we make sure to collect all of the fees that we should be collecting. If there's even, some
Pertaining to building or.
Right.
Permitting,
Keep
et
track of
cetera,
that
yes.
and-
Right.
There's ways to keep track of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But so you would just like put Mary Kay Hansen and then all of her charges?
I mean, like Mark and Christian's invoices are itemized, so it would just be itemized in QuickBooks with a billable item for each customer, and then at the end of whatever they're having done, you would just prepare an invoice and all those billable items would propagate onto there. Yeah, or populate onto there. So, I mean, it'll be a little work to set up.
Breaking it down like that.
Like my plat review expenses on plat that just passed is normally passed on.
Because see, we also have, with the Palmetto Oaks we talked about, they're the town paid for the survey review, they'll reimburse us for that, so they're gonna get invoiced for that. But in addition to that, they need to be invoiced for all the other stuff that Mark has done for them.
Right, so it's approved and done, right? What if they say, I'm not gonna pay you, pay it? That's my thing.
We have a right to do that. We have a right to
That's why
demand,
you-
yeah.
I mean, we might have difficulty with people that, that have been approved in the past. You hold up an item and you don't put it on, you put it on an agenda until they pay the invoice.
That's the easiest way, but I'll tell you, you're not, for lack of a better term, SOL if something's passed. I mean, the town still has a right, if that authorization, I think it says we can make demands, and sometimes you can you can lien property later, if it's a code, sorry. I mean, I don't, but maybe, I think there may be in our code, I haven't looked at it, but a development regulations administrator might be able to do something about that as well. So just, there's options. The town has options.
and include Ryan in that too, to work with, everybody work together to try to accomplish what we're talking about here. And you could come up with as you stated, a resolution. Is that anything else on that, Lenny? Is that
No,
it?
sir.
Okay, and next item. 5L, annual insurance package renewal discussion and action. You have I think you have that in your packet. The last year's premium was $107,065. This year, because we were able to deduct $1,976 from the coverage from the building that we sold, our premium for this year's insurance is $105,520.
$105,000.
$105,000. Now this, of course, in your packet, this includes the insurance on our property, including equipment, our crime and employee dishonesty, general liability, deadly weapon protection, public officials' employment practices liability, cyber liability. This also has our automobiles are included in this, liability and automobile physical damage. So this complete package for the amount, and workman's comp. And so we do have a bill, and it, as you see on the invoice, it's due upon receipt. So the mayor would entertain, let me back up. Is there any question or anything at this time in regards to our insurance with Brown and Brown?
Is this budgeted? Is it? Is it in the
It's
budget?
budgeted.
Yes.
This was in the budget that we worked, maybe, were you? We did a workshop, maybe you weren't here when we did that. So the mayor would entertain a motion to approve the expenditure to Brown and Brown for $105,520. We have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Lenny Richardson for our insurance, as I stated earlier, to Brown and Brown for $105,520. Is there a second? Seconded by Brandon Pierson. Ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. Okay. 5M, water quality. At Denise Coldflesh's residence, Vice Mayor Robert F. Green.
Denise called me last week, and we spoke regarding her situation at her house with the water, and we were still in the process of getting all the valves done and the tank cleaned out or flushed before refilling, and Denise stated then last week that, if the problem was resolved, we wouldn't have to bring this up. So I called Denise this morning just to verify that things were better at her residence, and she said yes, it was. The water is not stained and no odor, so she said if the case was resolved, that we wouldn't have to talk about this. So I'm stating that Denise is happy tonight. I'm glad she's happy, and I hope, things we're going to have like this when we have maintenance to do. So I'm glad your problem was resolved, Denise, and that's all I have on that, Mr. Mayor.
Well, Mr. Vice Mayor, before I move on to the next agenda item, I was in here earlier and had spoke with Ryan. I was asking him about the different things that we were waiting on. And one of the things that we're waiting on is to get the results from a water test for our water tower. We did get that this afternoon, and I've talked with our Public Works foreman, Louis Longo, and we plan to have the tower back on tomorrow morning. And what that will mean, you won't have some of the issues that you've been dealing with, because that water would get, it was kind of bottleneck, and you get water that had not been moving. So this will be a good thing. So just for the information.
Is the mixer installed?
The mixer is not installed, but yes, the mixer is installed, but it's not electrical operation. It's not ready to turn the mixer on, but we can go ahead and utilize the tower for our potable water. It's just like what we would have before. And just to report, for those that maybe might not know, our water tower has been completely renovated. It's been painted outside. We have new valves that have been installed. As our vice mayor stated, this board approved a mixture that will mix the water and keep it fresh. It's all been brought up to date, and it looks really good. Ride by and look at the tower. It's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. It's all been painted. It looks nice. So as of tomorrow, it will be back online, Denise, and you'll see an improvement, I think. So thank you for your patience. Okay. Okay, updates by mayor. We have, I don't know if y'all have seen in the last couple weeks, we've had a lot of activity up at our new library, which used to be the media center. We had, the Volusia County had approved to the benefit of the town of Pierson, which this was something that had been worked on for a couple years, but the residents here will benefit from this. It was a $450,000 expenditure from Volusia County. They have, I was there this morning and looking at, they've installed all new air conditioning at the library. They are working on putting new cabinetry in there. The skylight has been repaired. But it's still not complete. It's a work in progress, but it's going to be beautiful, and it will be a benefit to this whole area, and we'll have a lot more room there. Also, several months ago, I talked with Yvonne Braddock and asked her to contact DOT to replace the culvert at Palmetto and Highway 17, because that's on the state highway. And then after Ryan came on as deputy clerk, Ryan has contacted them and sent emails. And so we've just been waiting, but I'm happy to report they were there this morning and installed a new culvert there at Palmetto and 17. So that was nice to see that being done. We're still waiting on our water test results at our new beautiful water plant. It's ready, but we still don't have the okay on the water test there. Once that is completed, then that will be coming online. At our last meeting, we talked about Pecan Street. We had issues from the garbage truck that had damaged the line. That line has been repaired. A new valve has been put in. We did have some issues with air in the line, and Lewis was there this afternoon and installed where we had the blow off at the end of the pecan. He blew that off. That cleared up the water that was, because it was discolored. So that's another thing that's been completed. I do have a question. Several months ago, I had brought up about cleaning and opening up the canal on the Richardson Road, because we've got water issues there, and the board approved to get a survey, and do we have anything from Eford on that?
I talked to Larry 2 weeks ago, and he told me that the rain had set him back. He said they had done the boundary survey, but they were still surveying the actual canal itself. And he said they had hoped to do that at the end of next week, which would have been this past Friday, but I have not heard from him. I'm assuming.
I don't think they've been back, because when they were there, they had put a red flag on the telephone pole for whatever reason, a big red flag, and it's still there, and I've not seen them.
They're backed up, because I
I'm
have
sure.
family who's waiting on stuff, and they did a partial survey for family, and then they left and haven't been back in 2 weeks. So I keep making calls or sending emails, kind of like I did with DOT about Palmetto every couple of weeks, just to keep it in their mind. So hopefully, if it dries out a little, he can get up here and finish it. But that's all I have on that.
Thank you, Brian. Well, we're waiting. We're waiting on that so we can, because that's something that's a problem there, and but it can be corrected. Okay, well, that's all I have at this time. I reserve the right to come back if there is something, but I think that's everything, I believe. Okay, update on town projects from our town attorney.
No updates at this time.
Thank you, Christian. Updates on town projects from Mark Perrett of Zebco.
If you recall at the last meeting, you did approve issuing an RFP that Ryan had gone ahead and issued the RFP for operator of new water plant and the old water plant. So that is out to bid. We have set up and scheduled a pre-bid meeting. It'll happen on September 9th, I think, at 1:30. So anybody's bidding will come here. We'll be a tour of the two plants. That'll be about a week before they have to complete their bids. So that's all in process. As Mayor said, we're getting very close. The water plants, they're working on those closeout documents, I think. So they've done some testing, and I guess some chemicals have arrived as well. So that is getting very close. I'll be here September 5th at 9 o'clock to meet with people who have signed up to talk about their land use and zoning issues. Next month will be a planning commission meeting. We are working on, my office is working on a draft changes to the town's tree protection standards. The county has pointed out that the town's tree protection standards do not comply with the minimum standards that were established by the county back in the 90s. So we're doing a comparison to find out where those standards don't meet, and that's what we're bringing forward the planning commission eventually. That's it.
Thank you. Before we move on, I wanted to ask, at our last board meeting, we approved the installation of the culvert. Was it by, Bill Wright had the first option, and then if he couldn't do it, then it would go to the county.
Right, so it went to the county.
So the county accepted
They're
it?
6 to 8 weeks out
Okay.
before they can. And they were also checking to see if there was any financing available.
They were, that's good.
Lewis Trivet.
So Rick was the first option, so he did not want to do it?
He
then?
wouldn't do it without the.
Without the wall, the head wall.
Head wall.
Okay.
Lewis assured me that construction without the head wall will be more than adequate. He said, Lenny, we're doing it all over Volusia County.
And that's good, and I would, on behalf of the county of Volusia, which we work on with them on a lot of different things, I would have faith and confidence in their road and bridge department that we have worked with for many years. And again, it's like our vice mayor, and we all agreed that, that's $60,000 that we don't need to, if we don't have to spend it.
43.
Was it 43?
Yeah, 43 or 44.
I thought it was 60.
No, just the head, the walls, just the head walls or whatever.
What's the difference, Ryan?
No, it's 60 for the pipe and it's 20 for each head wall, so 40.
Yeah, it was 41 or 42,000 for the head wall.
Well, that was the savings to go with the Volusia County. So I'm glad that we had that option. And but we wanted to give Bill Wright that option also if he wanted to do it. So then there's 6 weeks out. Is that
6 to 8.
6 to 8 weeks out. Okay.
But like he said, the weather, it's summer,
Right.
you know.
Rain. Mercy of the rain.
And well, that finishes the agenda. At this time, Christian, you have anything else?
Yes, sir.
Our Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland.
Just that, Chris is on vacation, right? Okay, when everybody gets back, we need to get some milling, some asphalt, and fill some holes up, especially on just pick the road. We got a lot of potholes need to be filled with the asphalt. So just need to get that on the agenda, not the agenda, but on the board's
If we would-
agenda for.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that up. If we wouldn't have had some people out, we were down to just one person, that was one thing that we would have been addressing.
Right. Yeah, that needs to be taken care of. There's plenty of them needs to be filled.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson.
I have one thing. I'm going to take it upon myself to have the boys, as soon as Chris is back or when we got another man, the crosswalks at the high school
Yeah, they need to be repainted.
are not very faintly visible at best. They've got to be, from a liability standpoint, I think it's got to be done immediately.
That's great. Thank you. Brandy.
The only thing I had is a little league update. I did go up there and with Lindsay and Kelsey and talk about a few things. There was one piece on the main field where there was a piece of board that had rotted. They had moved it. All the clay's coming out. So I went by yesterday and spoke to Lewis. He was going to fix it and put a new board there, which he did, but the clay's still running out from under it. So I'll go back and talk to him about that tomorrow. And while I was up there, a little girl got bit by a wasp. So I also had him go through and spray all underneath all those bleachers over there for that. And then my only other thing was the Volusia County contract for the Chipper Jones. I thought we got that and it was going to be on our agenda this time.
It was, and I talked to Parks and Recreation, and I have a meeting with them next week to go over that. And hopefully, we'll be able to get even some more things on the contract, because if you'll remember at our last board meeting, we asked people to call their county representative. And so I'm hopeful that we can even get some additional help and with some added things on the contract. But anyway.
Just for them to do more stuff up there to take off of our plate for the amount of money they're charging us. I mean, I'm just curious of what you mean by that.
No, I'm just saying that we, as I stated at that meeting, the town of Pierson provides the Chipper Jones Park, these ball fields for, it's not just for the town of Pierson, it's for all of the surrounding areas, like there's kids that come here from Astor, from Barberville, from Seville, and a lot of that is, as we know, is unincorporated. So I'm hopeful that Volusia County will do more in this agreement. So, and this is the time to address it, and they've agreed that I could meet with them, and that's what I'm going to be doing. And maybe we can get a little bit more for help, because we do provide a service here. It's not just for the kids in Pierson, it's for the kids in the surrounding area. And I think it's wonderful. But Volusia County, we have a good relationship with them, but I'd like to see a little bit more. So that will be coming back to the board. And I know they were delinquent. We all know that, but boy, they really stepped up, and they've got the fields with the new clay.
But when I was up there, I had two of the coaches from the Little League field come and show me that they're doing the same exact thing. The little guy that's maintenance it, and he's throwing all the clay back in the dirt. He's not raking it. He's just running his little circle.
Running it.
And I will.
And I mean, that's like I told them. I am not in charge of that guy. That's county guy. But they said, he should be raking it off the grass, because when he goes around in a circle, it's just all the clay we just put on there.
He's making that lip or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
on the filler.
Yep. If it keeps dragging it with that machine,
Right.
you're gonna have the same problem.
Same, yeah.
And that's unfortunate. That needs to be addressed, because they brought the sod machine up there and recut it, and they did a beautiful job on Burtson and Peterson Field. Brought it up. It looks great. And then the girls softball field, I was over there and walked it, looked at it. They've done a lot. And we don't want them to get in the condition that they were before when we got to that point. So anyway, so hopefully it'll be on the next, as an agenda item at our next board meeting. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes.
381 East First Avenue. I just want to thank you guys all for taking this and running with it because the fields do look great. We had our first couple practices last week. All fields look great.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Thank you.
everything. Oh, the breaking, that's what it was. So when they're dragging it around from the outfield grass coming into the infield clay, I don't remember if I researched it or somebody, whatever. They're supposed to rake out at least 18 inches from the grass in the outfield, the clay, 18 inches, and then that's where their drag should hit. So they're keeping off of just what they've been doing for years and building that lip. They're supposed to rake it out 18 inches around.
And around in the baseline is the same.
Around the bases as well. Yes, because that grass between second and the infield, that's
Thank you.
but thank you guys.
This is just a reminder to the board. I know Yvonne shared with me earlier, I can't take any credit for this. Our vice mayor had gotten with our senior clerk and Ryan.
Yes.
And
I
they
forgot
prepared,
to mention that.
our vice mayor had them prepare a letter of congratulations to the new world champions there at Lake Brantley.
Lake Mary.
Lake Mary.
Yeah, we should.
So,
We're sending it to the mayor of Lake Mary.
So just remind,
congratulatory letter.
so
It would be real cool.
Go there Saturday morning at 10. There's a big, huge parade. I'm going.
So please don't forget all of the board to sign the letter of congratulations, and we're awful proud of them. And so thank you, Vice Mayor, for thinking about that. Okay, at this time, is there anybody in the public that would like to speak at this time? Yes.
Davis on 32nd Avenue. Little complaint. You ride around town, you look at fire hydrant signs, you see these giant dead spots where they herbicide 6 to 8 feet in diameter. These brown spots look hideous. And all they're going to do is generate sand traps. It doesn't matter whether you have a manicured right away or not. They go in. It's too big of an area to herbicide. They need to herbicide right around the hydrant, for example. My hydrant, it runs out about, I want to say 4 feet all the way around it. So I've got a big old 8-foot dead spot on my right. We've discussed right-of-ways before. I know the town has rights, but if I'm maintaining it, why ruin my maintenance?
Yes.
It ticked me off when I saw it. And you go down, you're granite road. They're every one of them, giant brown spot. It just looks like they need to quit doing that. I talked to her a minute about it years ago, and it stopped. This is the first time I've seen it this bad in years. They don't need to make those circles that big. 1 foot at most.
Okay. Thank you, Rick.
That's that.
Okay. So we need to maybe not make it so just a little bit around the.
Yeah. It's, all they have to do is, I'm serious, right around it. You can notice it very easy. It just created a sandstorm.
Thank you for that. Thank you. We can look. We'll look at that and improve on, because that is that stated. It's maybe a little bit overboard. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for coming to this meeting, and being that there is no further business, this meeting is adjourned.